Hello and welcome to ES Stars Technologies. In this session, we will be delving into UX research. Join me now. Welcome back to our YouTube class. I hope you enjoyed the last class. So today we are continuing from where we stopped in the previous class, where we summarized the different things that you would need to pen down in your research. And this is an example of a document I wrote when I tried to present a product design research plan for a clothing e-commerce application. You've written the topic, which is nice. The next thing you are considering would be your clients, your role, your timeline, and a tentative name for the product. After which you can go into your introduction, then you can go into your project background. You can also look at your problem statements, your suggestive solutions, which you can call your hypothetical solutions as well. Then you can go into your research goal. For your research goal, you can look at your research goal and objectives. You can merge the two of them together, or you can simply split them, explain the research goal and explain the research objectives, of which your research goal and objectives would be in line with the research. What is the goal of the research and what is the objective of the research? Then you can delve into writing some of the screener questions you would be asking. Some people might ask and say, what screener questions? So when you think of screeners, you think of assessing if something is for or not for something or someone or for a cause. So let's give an example of screening for malaria. If you feel sick, you start to think like, am I down with malaria or am I down with a particular kind of sickness? You go to the hospital and then the doctor tells you that they want to screen for malaria. They want to know if you are positive or negative to malaria. The same thing for when people start talking about HIV/AIDS screening. They want to screen if you are a suitable candidate of that particular thing or not. So when you think of screening, we are looking at suitability. If that participant, that person you are questioning, is a suitable participant for the course you are researching about, for the project or for the product you are researching about. Does this person fit into the kind of user that would make use of this product when we are done with the product? If you're trying to design or develop a financial application, you are looking for users who would use the financial application. You are looking to get insights from the users who would make use of the financial application. Imagine you are asking someone who doesn't make use of financial application. Imagine you are asking him questions about what he needs on a financial application. He probably will not be able to give you the right answer. Or maybe you are asking someone who has never been into sports, then you are asking that person to give you the challenges that people that make use of a sports application, the challenges they go through. The person does not know the challenges they go through. So for you not to get to the issue where you would be interviewing users and then they'll be giving you answers like, I don't know, I've never used this kind of application before, I don't have an idea of what you are talking about. You can send out screener questions as surveys to as many people as possible. Let them answer the questions for you to know if they are your suitable audience. Now, if they are your suitable audience, you can then call for an interview to get in-depth analysis of what you want to really know about the product. So when you are carrying out your screener questions would follow the survey method so that you can get a wide reach of people, so that you can get a wider audience, so that you can get as many people as possible to fill your surveys. Now, after you are done filling the survey, you can then request for those people who you have seen as your target participants. You can then request for them to come for further questioning, which is now your interview. So your screener questions will screen your right participants from your wrong participants. For your screener questions, you would need to put the demographics so that you can get probably the name, the age, the gender, education, employment details, location, and so many other demographic questions based on the kind of application or based on the kind of project you are working on. Now, the moment you are through with that, you can then go to your screener questions, and your screener questions would follow closed-ended questions such as a yes or no answer, a rating on a scale of 1 to 10 kind of answer, a multiple choice answers where you have about 5 options and then they can pick from one or the other, and then sparingly, not in details. You can ask them to probably give you applications they have used for those kind of projects so that you have an idea of the kind of applications they have used and the kind of challenges they have encountered. Something like that would help you screen out the right participants from the wrong participants, and it will save your time. So you can send your screener questions out to as many people as possible. After the screener questions, the next place you want to start writing about is your interview. And for the interview, you remember we said that you would introduce yourself. When you are done introducing yourself, you present a consent form to them, where that's for the ethical consideration. So you present the consent form to them that they would sign. In that consent form, you would have written out different things that you want them to be aware of. And when they are done signing the consent, you can request for the permission to record the interview. Sometimes your clients or your participants will tell you to record, some may not want you to record, so you just write down what they are saying. If you have requested for permission and if they've granted you the permission to record, then you can make use of your recording tool to then record the interview. And it is advisable that when you are carrying out an interview like that, you are present with the person so that you can see the body language of the person, view the person's demeanor when you are doing the research. So sometimes you would need to understand that person. You would need to be able to see the person. You can also make use of video calls, right? So when you are carrying out interviews like that, you want that person to be present. You want to see what the person is doing, how the person is feeling. You want to see the body language, whether the person is paying attention to what you are asking or the person is distracted. You want to understand the mind of the person, because this user that you are interviewing, you have to almost want to enter his mind. And to do that, that person, you should have a visible contact with the person, so that when you are presenting your data and you are writing or you are drawing up your empathy map, you would write those things in detail. So when you have written down some of the interview questions you want to ask the person, you can then go to your hypothetical assumptions about the interview and the screener questions. When you are done with the hypothetical assumptions, you want to look at your methods of research and recruiting. What kind of method would you be bringing in? What kind of participants would you be recruiting? Then you look at your timeline. What's the timeline that you would be engaging in? Then you talk about your budget. What budget plan are you making use of? And then you go to your incentives. How do you want to incentivize your participants? How much do you want to give them? Do you want to give them a recharge card? Do you want to give them a cash prize? Do you want to give them a gift card? Or whether it is going to be in cash or in kind. And then you present your data analysis, all of the things you are going to use to analyze your data. Maybe you are going to analyze it on FigJam, and then you are going to be presenting the empathy map, the user persona, the hypothesis statements, the problem statements, the user stories, the user journey mapping, the competitive analysis, the information architecture, and then the user flow. So how do you also want to present your data? Would you be presenting your data through PDF format or through digital presentations like PowerPoint, Canva, and so on and so forth? And then when you are done with all of that, you then, put your consent form in this document so that you don't forget the consent form. So you just prepare your consent form. When you are done preparing your consent form, you are through with your research plan. You are through with your product design research plan. You are through with your UI UX research plan. Then you move quickly to create your surveys. Now there are different methods of creating your survey. You can either create your survey using the Google Forms, or you can use other platforms that help with creating surveys. Now for this particular survey, I've written my introduction, and after writing my introduction, I began to ask questions. Your demography, I would love to know more about you. Make it as simple as possible so that your users are not bored when you are asking all of those questions. I would only be showing us the demography. And for the demography, you see what we have written here. We started with your name, which is going to be a short answer text. Then these are multiple choice question. What is your age range? Then you can look at your gender, and then the educational background, which is also multiple choice questions. Then your employment details. For me, I used multiple choice, but in a method where you can choose more than one. So you can either be self-employed and be on a contract at the same time. So that was why I used this particular method. And then where you live, I used a drop down method for this. When you are viewing the question in this format, look at my preview, you can see your personal details here. When you are viewing the question in this format, you can see my name is Esther. What is my age range? 25 to 34. I am a female. Then what is my educational background? I've gotten a degree. Now what is my employment details? So I'm either self-employed, full-time employed, contract employed, part-time employed. Now look at this. Where do you live? For where do you live now, you can look at different options. We use the drop down method for this, which is actually cool, as opposed to where you would have to now write the different 36 states. You can just copy the 36 states online, paste it in that drop down format, and then you'll see it come out in a very nice way. Then you can move to your next section, where you then begin to ask your different questions about the application you are working on. Look at this. So we have section 2, project questions. We would like your input on this question, and then you can move further. So when you are done, you've gotten some of your responses. You've gotten some of the responses. People have responded to you. We got about 19 responses. And then you can see for our gender, we have 63.2% male and 36.8% as females. And you can just go about to see how you can analyze your data from the responses you have gotten on your Google documents. From this point you can pick your participants from here. You can pick those who would be your right participants from your survey. If you've gotten some responses, you can then pick maybe 4, 5, 6, 7, or even 10 people who you would then send a mail to if need be, or if they've submitted their numbers, you can send them a text message requesting that they meet you at a particular location. And if they cannot meet you at that particular location, you can make use of a video call, or you can just create like a physical location where they can come to meet you, and then you can interview them. Now when you are done with that interview, you would have recorded it, or you would have written down some points or some notes from there. When you are done with that, the next place you are going to is how you now start analyzing your data. So from all of these points, the next phase is analyzing your data. We'll meet in the next class where we start to talk about how we would analyze the data. Thank you very much and have a lovely day.